Hello, welcome everybody to a new session of developing Notula, where I've done a lot the past week. Well, I focused mainly on trying to figure out why my entire VS Code didn't work, and it wasn't just on this machine, it was on another machine, and it turned out it was completely related to the project, of course, and there was some very, very interesting um, stupid thing I did to say, and that is I had a test. I think it was not usually like the session storage gateway test, where my file had a different name than my class, which apparently is allowed. So, for instance, this was the issue. Uh, uh, hmm. It's interesting that now he actually does it. But so this is how it was. No, actually, this is not how it was. So the other way around. The file was regularly called gateway, and this was the test. And so this crashes your entire language, JWT compiler, whatever stuff that the VS Code plugin or well, the plugin uses. It can't handle it. Even though, and I thought I would get a compiler error because the file name is different from your class name, but no, there is no such thing as this. It's not a requirement that this matches as long as it is not public. So it only has to match if it's public. So that was an interesting thing. But as soon as you do this and you refresh, I think automatically will refresh. Okay, well, whatever. So now it works. We do see, however, there's an issue. Yes, because this has to match my certain pattern. And that's something else I did as well. I tried to do most of the tests I already could. I think it's time to actually start cleaning up a bit because it's a bit messy. So many changes. I mean, like password tests. I mean, like this is just small update. This should not even. So this can immediately be in there. The user service is an extra thing that is required still. The user info was not tested, so that has to be done. Session info test. I have the test, but where from actual session info? This is also just updated, but it's not even correct yet. So I think because I've done a lot here, like updating and those kind of things, and I'm thinking that I should just reset to this one. But I will do that myself manually and like reorganize everything. I'm not gonna get everybody involved in that. So here, this one as well. But at least I have a better overview of what actually still needs to be tested and what not. And how do I typically do that? I say I run with coverage. And I know this is the session storage gateway test. So then I want to, of course, look at my session storage gateway. And then I'm see like, okay, this class has 100% coverage. The test is good. So this can be added together with this. Same for my, well, the session repository is a bit a funky one because if you go look at your session repository, I can do this one as well. You'll see actually there's no code to actually cover. So your code will always be 100% covered. And this one you really have to focus more on yeah, okay, it does do all the tests make sense. Refresh token duplicate, yeah, that's a saving and whatever and stuff. Now, on the other hand, of course, oh yeah, actually this was already saved. It's just I've moved this up because that's where it belongs more. All my static files should be on top. Yes, yes, yes. So session repository, edit session repository. This here, I have to minimize this a bit. Did I? Oh my god, I pressed the wrong button. Damn it. Session info test, that one was added. Yes. Password test, that one was added. Yes. The session storage gateway test. Yes. Together with the session storage gateway. Yes. And then here, the state change collapse. Session service, not yet. That's also not yet, but I'm going to add that one. Session service test. that one from the session repository. That one we said was okay. From the controller, the JWT service test. Where is my JWT service? Apparently, I've already committed that. That should not have been done. Oh, because I renamed it. It's access token service. I've renamed it. Why? Because a JWT is actually a bit of a technical thing. And so this one doesn't create, it's not the service to create JWTs. No, it's the service to create access tokens. So the fact that it happens to be with the JWT, or that it happens to be a JWT, is well, not pure coincidence, but it's just something that doesn't really matter. Well, it does matter, but it's an implementation detail, which is not to be concerned about. So let's start from here then. And what I want to say about the code coverage is that you will see me running code coverage and whatever. And actually, what I can do is I can run all my tests because they run now. I can run them with code coverage. And then you can see here which is coverage, which is not covered. But just because something is 100% covered does not mean that you've written every test you need to. Or it doesn't mean that it's perfectly fine. No. But what you will see is that if something is not 100% covered, and I don't know why this is not, it's still running. I don't know why this is not updating. For instance, you see email is 100% covered. Okay, probably good. Maybe not. Maybe it is. The access token service, for instance, I know for a fact this is not enough tested. Why? Because it's not enough covered. It can be the session service as well. How is the test, or the session service is not covered properly? The create has not tested. That's why there is a to do. Voila. Here as well, my user service. That's probably the new method I've added. Yeah. This one has not been tested yet. So that's typically how I attack the... Yeah, well, this is a bit ridiculous. I'm not going to test config, so that's that I will accept. But so that's how I typically go through it. But that does, for instance, not mean that my create session DTO, just by having one test, because with one test you can do all of this, you can get 100% coverage, that one test is enough. In this case, it is enough. Why is that? Because it actually doesn't do anything. You'll see what actually logic is there. Well, it just converts itself to email password and whatever. Validation is not enforced by the session itself, so you non-blank whatever and those kind of things. This is not enforced by this record, which is interesting and a bit annoying. And as I said, I'm thinking of maybe changing this and doing this actually in this class here with the constructor, and then it becomes important. But so this validation actually is enforced by the controller. And there is no way you can actually test this through. For instance, if I would say like here, well, I can't say no because that's not okay, of course. But my password, for instance, if I would say user get password value, no, and I would just say like, no, my password is A, then typically this would be a validation error. This will now fail because the assert is not correct. Yes, okay. So where does it fail? It fails on actually creating the password. So it fails here on this kind of thing. But that's actually not something that the create session DTO really enforces. It's more that the password enforces it. So I always feel it's a bit weird, or I would feel it's a bit weird, that you add a test here that says like, okay, I'm going to validate the password, or like I'm going to add a test for an invalid password here, when this actual DTO, this object, doesn't really enforce it. Yes, it kind of does reinforce it, so that's why I wanted to also get rid of it, because it's duplicate. But actually it is here this password that enforces it. So it means that if ever we want to say like, well, the minimum length of password is now 10, then I would have to update it in two tests. I have to update it in my password test, and I have to update it in my create session DTO test, which initially, of course, will even not work because this one still says -8. So if I say like, well, a password of 8 is not allowed, you need at least 10, it still wouldn't work. Would the test of 8 would, or test of test, the one of 10 would of course work, the one of 8 would fail because normally it should pass, but it shouldn't. It doesn't because this one has only updated, and that's why it's in two places and it's not good. That's why I want to change. And then, well, I do think it's important that the DTOs check their own validity as much as possible, because this is what's user oriented. Like, okay, user, you made a mistake. Whereas here, the password says like, oh, you cannot create this, but how it gets created, where it comes from, that's not something the user has control over. If I somewhere in my logic, if I make a request, and somewhere in my logic I say, okay, I want to make a new password of something because I need it for something and whatever, yeah, then that doesn't mean that the user made a mistake if the password I've put here is too short or is not valid. Then that could be that I have a default in there, and because I updated the minimum password length to 10, I'm like, oh damn, my default password actually is not correct anymore, and I have to update it and whatever. But so now this one will work. Okay, so let's focus on our access token service test. What do we see? I have created a minimal test, which passes, session throws an exception, great. Then I should say at test void success. What else can we see? The user ID will be filled in because it's so long. The ID of the session might not be filled in. And I'm not sure if I want to include the session ID. I'm not sure why I would include session ID in a JWT. So yeah, refresh token active until doesn't even matter. So I don't think I want to do any further validation on session. So the only thing I now want to do is I want to verify that when I do final the refresh. So actually the refresh, that's a very interesting thing, because the access token service will not be responsible for refreshing, because you cannot refresh an access token. You can refresh a refresh token. So this class, which was added here later, before I did my big thingy, so private static final test session, yeah. Wait a second, did I, because I was playing around with my plugins and my extensions, and I think I might have, nope, Copilot is still enabled. Okay, good. Can I erase this again? Show chats, new chats, configure chat. I want to just delete my chat, you know. Delete. Okay, then I'm going to say new chat, and then I'm going to just delete this one. Okay. Okay, test session dot. Oops. It's a bit interesting that he doesn't do it anymore. Did I maybe already hit my quota? My code completions are almost done. Maybe I should just disable code complete by the AI. I don't know. It's more bothering me than it actually helps me. But okay, fine. So I say final. See, for instance, this is this my regular editor or is this actual ChatGPT that now does it? I don't even know. Let me see whether I really didn't disable anything. Does I need it? Nope. Just a windsurf. Okay. So final session info. Session. So the question is like this. I think is actually AI generated now. The annoying thing is it doesn't show me the actual value. There's no way to actually figure out how much you were used or how much you actually are entitled to. So maybe just snooze it. And then we can see this should no longer be +5, +5. Because the annoying thing is sometimes, like, I mean, like, tap is code complete, and then I think the AI also does it, and then sometimes it's not really what you want. But then you've done a code completion which you don't care about. It can be annoying. So then I say JWT service, which I have to rename as well. Which of course I can't because then I say final string JWT token, and then I say this is going to be a difficult one. Assert that token is equal to do. It's weird. My keyboard. I have to figure that one as well. My keyboard should normally be US international, but I don't think it actually is. No, indeed, I think I have US Euro on 5, but I should be US international. Can I see this keyboard? Yes, that I think looks more like my keyboard. Okay. Percent, yes, okay. So then I'm gonna remove the Euro on 5. And because that's why I'm always. This is actually used for accents as well, and that's why I do. If I want to double quotes, I do double quote and do space. But as a result, because now it didn't do it, and what do I mean with accents? Because in some languages you have to be able to type something like this, or you have to do this. Anyway, so because of that, I do always US international. But then if you want to do double quotes, you have to do an extra space. And it has become my second nature, so I do it all the time now. And sometimes when it doesn't happen, or like when you have your keyboard configured wrongly, then it will reload and then you have space in between, which is why my to-do starts with a space. So this doesn't make any sense, but of course what I want to do is I want to say like when secret key, secret key, secret key, secret key. Actually, secret key is just something that gets passed on. And actually is a very good question. I'm not sure if I can properly test one. Of course I can test this, but the question is how. Subject. And so this here, well, the roles, I guess I don't care about claims yet. Issued at, yeah, okay. The issued at will be difficult as well. Not date from now, but issued at, this is also annoying. Issued at is really a thingy, I guess. This should be session dot user ID. Subject is a string. Well, that's not a problem. It's a long. You can just convert it to a string. And then either you do long dot, like to string, but I find it a bit weird. I prefer the string dot value of, because it tells you more what you actually want. Here is very clear. Okay, you want to have the string of this. Issued at, that's annoying, because issued at is an actual date. Date from now. So then I do private private, I do final var now equals instant.now, and then the date JWT. It is rather annoying though, because I can really, of course, you would prefer to have you should add this really damn updated, man. You need to have date module. So the claims, I'm not going to do any claims yet because it's not doesn't matter. And I think a JWT, you can also add your own. You can add your own. How is it called? Claim. No, that was actually that's what it did there. Claims roles, yes. So dot claim. I could add other claims. I'm not sure if there are other typical. I think the issued add. Is that not valid still? Yeah, there's an expiration, exp. Yeah, code payload. So I don't think you really need much else. Dot. I don't even think there are that many other options. Crypt with expiration, JSON not before, sign with. Yeah, no subjects. I mean, that's basically all there is. I should actually check. I think IOJs. I think this is indeed the most recent one as well. Let me check. IO.json web token. I'm using version 0.13. I mean, before I start complaining that they're still using the date stuff and it's outdated and they should update it and blah blah blah. Okay, it must move to. Okay, let me see, maybe the correct one. Yes, JWT. August 20, 2025. It's a bit crazy how they're actually still using, or how they're still in the zero, but people are all relying on it already. Maybe there are other libraries as well. Which one did I do? You have the OAuth one apparently. OAuth 0 has one. Here, wait, let's see what JWT.io says. Filter by Java. Okay, well, the OAuth one is not bad, but it doesn't support everything. The JWT seems to be better. The question is just how do I actually do it? Because now I just set put a secret key. And I say sign with the secret key. The secret key will actually contain the actual element, I guess, no? Which I do in my config. Which maybe I should also, no, web security config. Here is the, yeah, doesn't matter. Here make SHA key. The SHA, I think that's SH6256, I think then. Yeah. So if we, for instance, do this, then it will give an exception because the key is not valid. That's because I mock the key And I'm just thinking, should I be mocking the key? I can also just create a new secret. You know what? I'm just gonna make a new secret key instead of a mock new secret key. I mean, like, it's very easy to do it. Here, we'll do something like this. Which is a problem? Ah, here, secret key get bytes. No, I'm gonna do change to secret key JavaScript. It is JavaScript. Wait. Where did this one come from then? IO JSON web token secret. Okay, this might bring me to the next topic then, or to the next topic. Revoke and change this password is compromised. What do you mean it's compromised? This is the best password you can possibly imagine. No, this should be stored in, of course, this has to be stored in like a properties file, and you shouldn't be doing this. I'm also not. I'm not sure if this actually is the best way to do it. I mean, like, you can also just store your secret key somewhere and then just read from file, but maybe with like just a secret key, like with the, what is this? Creation of sequence with the use based on a specified key byte array. I mean, might not be too bad. Let me see. I'm also going to double check with it to see if there actually is some example. JSON web key, JSON web encryption. I like the JWT. Signed with HMAC. I do an HMAC key. That's an example. You can, oh, that's actually very interesting, actually, how it does it. Sign with key, and how the key alf.key.build. Okay, yeah, but here they don't give an actual. They just say, okay, this is my algorithm. Key is, I don't know, just random, I guess. Whereas here I do it differently. So they actually basically do is like they do JWT dot sig dot, and then they say HS 512, for instance, and then they just say dot key, and so basically they've created a key, which is a bit funky, but random. Secure random. I find it a bit interesting that you say dot key. Returns a new key will produce new secure random keys. See, so this will basically create keys for you, which is not what you want at runtime. Definitely not. I don't see them really using or showing an example where you actually produce the key yourself. That's why I assume this will be a safe way of creating it. Yeah. The only thing you have with this thing, of course, is that, and in my case, it's not too bad of an issue yet, but what this actually means is that this secret key you should be known by both your authentication server and your resource server, because you want to verify the JWT. And so this secret key has to be shared, which in my case it can be, because it's even the same server, it's the same application, so it definitely can be shared and it will be shared, or it's easy to share. But if you really have two separate servers, you probably don't want to do this. What you probably want to do more, something like actually have files. So you have a public file and a private public key and a private key, and then the private key is really only known by your authorization service. Your public key is something you can request from your authorization service, and then your service will say, okay, give me the key that you currently have. Okay, then you get the key, done. How and when you really fetch it, that's a bit up to you, and that can be a bit tricky, but yeah, so that's not really the issue. But so this should be new keys, just network security keys. Yes, it's not new, is it? Nope, that's what I thought. That's actually the issue. String. It is now. Another thing as well is that I'm not sure if I want to do get bytes or I want to do get bytes and then saying standard. I don't think it's required. So. Because I think if you do get bytes without anything, it might by default. Share set default share set. No, so apparently take the default share sets. What is the default share set? Yeah. You should not let that depend on your system or your environment. Just hard code it. For a test, it might be okay. It might not be okay. Weak key exception. For any JWT Mac session. Yes, okay, so my thing is complaining. Is there anything else I can do? I'm just thinking, is there like maybe another algorithm? Thing is, I don't wanna get too far away from the actual implementation, but I also don't want to do too much, because I'm gonna have a very difficult secret key. Secret. You know, what I sometimes also is just like say dot repeat 10 times. If you say it enough times, it will become secure. And there is my key, and there's my thing. The problem is that this will now change every time. So I don't know how I'm gonna copy this. I don't even know how I have to copy this. I'm quickly gonna double check it online to see whether that makes any sense. Yeah, invalid signature, because the signature is just secret 10 times. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It expires Saturday, November 7/12. What's that? 30 minutes. Yeah, okay. It was issued at 6:42. Yes, okay. Central European time. The subject is 1. I think that's a problem about. In the past, I actually had my access token service also be able to read this. So the question is, do we want to actually verify it? I think we probably do want it. So what I can do is I do reply, and I typically don't like this. Well, actually, I mean, like I can do it myself. It's not that difficult. Come, I can't verify the signature. I think that might be a bit tricky, but I can say assert that token dot is not null. That's movies in the party. Okay, yeah. See, the thing is, like, I find it a bit stupid that like I have limited Copilot gives you limited free usage of code completions, but the code completions it suggests is like it's so basic. I mean, like I could have figured it out myself. Like you don't really save me any time. You're not very smart. So and then I should do base 64 get you final var decoder equals and then I say decoder dot decode parts is 0. See, I mean, like, yes, and now I've used up more of my code completion thing, which is really annoying. Should I just turn off code completion? And just use it more for, but then again, of course, if you have them, you have them, you can might as well just use them. Why not? I think this is called the header in, yes, this is the payload. And this is the signature. What is the problem? Byte array to string. Okay, then I say new string. Again, this is something you typically want to provide like the char set of. I think that's how a JWT works. It's actually very simple. Yeah, okay. What? I'm just gonna add some certain things there. Signature that contains actually like is equal to. I want to do is equal to, and then I can more easily see. Does that make any sense? Let's see. So indeed, it fills here. Why? Because it's not. Apparently, it's not an algorithm HS256. My key was big enough to be in 384. So then I will say HS384. The thing is that because I use this key, which is my real key, of course, will be more secret than this. And the payload. Why is my type not specified of my token? Let me see, maybe I did something wrong in how to create. Maybe they have a different builder for it. JSON web token. Oh, that's a link to the spec. That's not what I want. Reading, encrypting, JWT. I want to just create a JWK, sign, yes. Creating a JWT. JWTs.builder dot header. Yeah, well, I guess the type doesn't really matter. Type of token. But so you could say dot header, and then here you can say type. And then I could say JWT, but it's a bit ridiculous now. I don't think I'm gonna do that. I don't know why you would say it. There are some basic, I mean, like, yeah, I probably should read up on it. About the whole JWT and like which claims should be there. We have issuer, subject, audience, expiration time, which I do set, the issued at time, which also do set, the not before, the JWT ID. I mean, like, you have so many claims, such as type and content type. This is intended for use by the JWT application when values that are not JWTs will also be present in an application data structure containing JWT object. See, so I mean, like, it's not really necessary. I'm not gonna put it. It's ridiculous. Okay, so this is correct. But why did it fail? It failed on the algorithm first because that one is expected to be actual. Of course, makes sense. You have to put quotes. And then the payload, I will tell you what my payload is. My payload will also be this, and then it will have this will be subject, and that will be 1, and it will be a comma, and then it will be yat. And that's going to be the tricky part, because this I can't predict, and it will be within a certain amount of time. So I might be a bit more lenient on this. Where am I? Expected, but was, yes. So the problem is we paste it, which I can easily do. It will fail again the next time. Why? Because of course my issued at time is now different. That's what happens if you work with time information. Is it a problem? Yes, no, not really. Typically, you can work around it with saying like, well, it just has to be close to and has to be between and blah, blah, blah. See? So now you see there's a small difference. You can try to be smart about it and say like, well, I'm only going to check the first string and whatever, I'm going to parse it. And I think parsing the string probably would be best. And you say like, okay, well, I have the issued at, and then I get this, and then this value has to be between now and blah, 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 and it has to be close between, it has to be close to now. So yeah, that's a problem of actually testing a JWT, you can't really, yeah, okay, and the signature is just some, how do you do the signature? I don't think you can really decode the signature. So ideally, I would, of course, check indeed the issued at, and I would check my expired at, and I actually think I can do that. And I can actually do like object mapper or JSON mapper. But instead of mapping it to an object, which I would normally do, I'm just going to say read tree of the header final JSON node header root node or something. and then unhandled exception. I don't care. Throws declaration. I don't care about this. I just want to do exception. And then you can say header root node dot get, and then as text, and then I've verified all of this as well. And then I can say finally just yes, payload root node subject test is equal to yes. That seems where is a small session coming? Okay, so yes, no. I don't do small session. I do big session. Get user dot get ID, because I know that one cannot be modified. The session is being passed as a parameter to here, can be modified, not safe. And then with this, you can also say, is he going to suggest it? As long as stupid dot is close to, yeah, no, as long as instant doesn't work, as long there is no mapping, I guess. And then I just have to say final long. Can I do instance? Let me first double check something. Instance of epoch, milli epoch. Yeah, okay. That's okay. That's good. Final long iat. Okay, and then I say that the instant dot of epoch milli iat is close to, and then I can say instant dot now. Probably I should do it somewhere here. Final instant final var now equals instant dot now. It's close to now within, and I typically say like a duration of seconds, 1 second. And then you have the same for expiry. Is close to now plus duration of minutes, 30 minutes, yes, within 1 second, and you can't even finish its own codes. Thank you, Copilot, for not really doing much. And then this test actually does verify stuff. Expecting actual to be close to the IAT, is that not milliseconds? That's seconds. Yes, so it seems. The signature, I don't know how to really verify the signature. That's something I would have to look up if I want to do that. To verify it was probably signs. I don't know how to. payload signature. To create a signature part, you have to take the encoded header, the encoded payload, a secret, the algorithm specified in the header, and sign that. For example, if you want to use HTML, you sign it. So basically, you just have to take the secrets, yeah. Base 64 encoded. The thing is, these are already base 64 encoded, these parts. So what it basically says is that my final string signature, it can't even see, and that's what I don't like about Copilot. Copilot doesn't learn from the code that it already sees in the surrounding. I mean, like, it was just saying, like, oh, decode parts too. That's probably what you want. Like, no, I mean, like, the line before, I clearly mentioned it as a string. So, okay, that doesn't matter. Okay, so final string expected signature equals header plus payload. HMAC. Then I guess I have to do a SHA algorithm. SHA 386. 382 always. 384. So I have to generate this hash, which apparently can be done with like a message digest dot get instance. No, okay. I don't think it uses the same keys. Final var hash. Yeah, we'll just do anything for now. And then it is md dot digest, but in the algorithm here it says you do a string plus dot string encode comma secret. Huh. I think it's more of a apparently you also have the Mac, that might be better. Mac dot get instance, and then here I'm also looking up the default Mac algorithms algorithm name. Okay, and then here now I can say hashing dot. Okay, I can do an init. Init secret key hashing dot init key, done that. Update. I think that's what I have to do. I have to do update. Yeah, then I probably want to just take decoder 0. not, no, okay. Yeah, I just do this, and then I say hashing dot do final. Actually, this isn't even this does not need to be a string. This can be a byte array. And then here I also don't have to do this. I can just say it's a byte array. And then I can say assert that signature is equal to expected signature. And so, is this great? Might not be the greatest one. Syntax error. So it might not be the greatest way of testing it, but at least it doesn't depend on anything. No such a okay, yeah, because maybe I have to call it this. Without spaces, or I can do like this. Oh, not without. Let's try again. Okay, I'm getting close, but my signature is off. Expected actual. Because my secret key is. How the hell did I even do this? Should it not be? It really is in it with a key. Yeah, okay, so this should actually work. What's the problem? Header plus payload with a dot in between. Is it already decoded? Oh yeah, it's already base64 decoded. That's not what I should get. I actually should get parts 0. Yeah, okay, no, I do have to do parts 0. Parts 0 is a string as well, so it works. Okay, doesn't matter. Parts. I don't know why I was thinking I had to do this. The dot does not have to be encoded or decoded because it's fine. Yes, and so now it works. So this is the best way to test your JWT? Maybe not, but it is a way that is independent of my implementation, and that's typically what I like to see. That's the most important, so that if something gets messed up, then at least like I know, like if I'm using this library and the library has a bug or something or whatever, then at least I know that like it kind of has been verified independently by like my own implementation, which is not fully my own implementation, and I accept that. And there are quite a lot of assertions, and it's a big test, and probably much bigger than I would really want to. But it's decent. It's okay. It's a bit heavy. Maybe the only thing I'm thinking is maybe that I should move this down. I should header the mapper maybe up. So that's there, and then I have the header there. I have the payload where it belongs, and the signature where it belongs. I'm also just thinking, can I not do this faster? No, I think that's just how it works with the update method. And okay, but so then you have the 3 parts. The decoder can also go technically up, and then you have a clearer thing. Like this is the header, this is the payload, this is the signature, all verified. Yeah, it's a bit nicer organized, a bit cleaner. But so it means that technically our this I can remove. I don't care about this one yet. The creation of our JWT tokens or access tokens is now also done. and I can run it with coverage, but I'm pretty sure that this will be fine. Get user ID, this will always be a regular long, so it doesn't matter. The now will always be initialized as well. The secret key will be initialized. Well, of course, that's something like see, that's the thing. I mean, like normally in my code, I would say like, oh well, assert that this is not null. But because this is a service managed by Spring and Spring will inject my secret key in here, I don't care too much about it. Because Spring does it for me. Why would I bother? And Spring will make sure it's not null because it can't find anything like this. It will just fail to start up. So I feel like that's a bit obsolete to test because of the framework I'm using. So this is another part done. The access token service test and the access token service. What is this session tokens test? Okay, it's actually also done. So what do we have? We still have session service and session controller. The user info, final, non-final test. Okay, that's something I still have to fix. Might be a good thing to do now, no? Go to test, and it says like there are no tests, generate tests, JUnit 5, yes please. Okay. And then we will see that it creates a public, which I don't want. I say add nested class constructor, which is currently the only thing actually in here. ID final and non-null, because currently find reference, final references. It's only used to return object. So yes. So this should be long, and then you can have some auto unboxing issues, because here, for instance, let me see, is this the ID here is a long as an object, so this could be null, so this could actually throw an exception. Let me see, do I have go to test? Do I have a test for that? To BDO. I probably should test to BDO with null ID. And okay, this should indeed, that's what I thought. Assert that. Assert that thrown by. Made instance of throughput exception, yes. This can all go away. What's wrong here? That's static input, okay. Yes, we can do that. Replace. The problem is that this actually is the auto unboxing is a very interesting issue actually if you're talking about testing, because where does it actually go wrong? Well, you definitely can't do it in the user info because there you can't even provide null, so it has to be here in the 2BDO. The problem is you don't ever see the actual conversion from long to, like, you don't see the conversion, so you don't think it's code you have to test, but you have to, because in here, yes. Okay, so in here, so again, something that was edit test, that was in the user info, no, somewhere in the DAO. Where is the test I added? Where is the test I added? Why can't I not find it? It was a DAO. Oh my god, I can't find the test I just wrote. I can find the reference. It was references, user DAO. Why is this not marked as, no, it's a user DAO test then. Yes, user DAU test. Why is this not marked as updated? Whoa, this is funky. Let's refresh. I don't know why this is. I don't know what's going on here. It's not showing up on. Okay, apparently there it is. Whoa, funky. This is the first time that I've had it that this is so outdated. Normally it just refreshes whenever it should refresh. Okay, so back to user info. So now this indeed is ID, this is email. Yeah, email of course should not be null, but of course I can do that at test. The first test I typically do is with invalid. Okay, I can do first to a success, which I can leave empty, I don't care. At test avoid email null. See, he still hasn't learned from my and I need a private static final user oh, no, test user equals test user whatever. This is also a bit funky. This is not a user, this is a session. JWT, oh, Copilot, assert a throw by new user info of user dot get ID. This is not allowed. I should say final long user ID equals user get ID and final email equals no, yes, and then I can refactor this to become user ID. I am actually looking forward to the whole new the Java refactor where they actually are going to be more forcefully or allow you to be more forcefully specifying that this email can never be null and whatever, and then I don't even need this kind of constructions. I'm really looking into it to get rid of these checks, and I'm excited about it, but it's not going to be for anytime soon, I'm afraid. So until then, we will, or I will, stick with this approach. Email is user.get email. And that is not an exception. It should actually be a final var user. Okay, user for now. And then I say assert user info get ID is equal to user ID and assert the numerics. So this has now been fully tested and it's fully fine. It wasn't that difficult to do, of course, but it should be there in case things change. And I'm gonna wrap it up there for now. So I will see you in the next session. Bye bye.